Great hello to all of you who are watching this remotely. This is a session that we have, and I'm pleased to welcome the committee and also the head of our beloved school, Professor Julien Epps. This is going to be the first Kickstarter of the series that we're going to prepare for you, and we thought the best way to start this is to have our own head of school to talk about some of the changes and some news and updates about our school. But before I start, let me first start by acknowledging the country and all the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, who are the traditional owner of the land that the university is situated on, both past, present, and also emerging. Of course, we have Professor Julien Epps, who is the head of the School of Electrical Engineering. I personally have had the pleasure of knowing Julien for a long time, even during my studentship, and I think we are very lucky to have him to continue the great job of Professor Ambi. I myself, my name is Kaveh Fanian. I'm honored and pleased to be serving the school and the committee as the chair for my third year. I did my Master's of Electrical Engineering by Research during the years of 2006 and 2008. I also then, after that, worked a little bit as a research assistant for the school, and then later on, I joined the industry. I currently work as an enterprise sales specialist for IBM. Now, we also have Robert Smith. Robert, would you be kind to introduce yourself, please?
Thank you kindly. I'm one of the old timers, graduated or finished my course at 85. So the ceremony was 86. So whether you call me graduated in 86 but I usually say end of 85. Yeah. So back in the late 80s, there was a push to push research and development offshore. So, and there were still a few companies there. So I ended up, like many other fish that come out of graduation, worked for a lot of research and development companies. So from there, moved on to telecommunications, installing PBXs. Medical side, playing, field service tech. So I got an idea of customers, what they needed. That was mostly Sydney, and then the recession happened and it sort of upset a lot of things. Then I moved down to Albury, ended up working for Defence. So working on the Leopard tanks, the vehicles, all the military special type stuff, or Land Rovers that got dropped out of the sky from SAS that had to be rebuilt, that sort of stuff. Met another lady, as you do. Ladies tend to change your life a bit. Moved to Newcastle, ended up playing auto electrician, making buses. So anything from beginning to end, gluing panels, putting lights on, testing stuff around the back. Now, since that's been bought out by Brazil, not much is happening, so I'm in between jobs, getting my life together, in between that, moving houses, still remaining hands-on, still have a woodworking workshop, still have an electronics bench area, which I've sent some of you guys. Still in touch with the LSOC 80 guys. They have their own LinkedIn pages, and there's usually some chatter going on. They're spread across the country. Mm-hmm. That's probably it, just staying mentally active.
Wonderful. Thank you, Robert, and it's great to have you on the committee. You're definitely one of the most active members, and we are very lucky to have you. Next, I would like to introduce Somansh Agrawal to all of you. Somansh, would you please tell a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Background? Thank you, Kaveh, and thank you, Robert, and thank you, Julien. So my name is Somansh, and I'm fairly new. So I'm part of the Alumni Committee in our beloved school. I graduated fairly recently, which was last year, 2019, and I'm quite still attached to my school, and I've been working in the business school now.
Wonderful. Thank you. And last but not least, we have Gagan Singh Khosla, who is also a great and active member of our committee. Again, I'm really pleased and glad that we have Gagan's help. Would you be kind to introduce yourself to our audience, please?
Sure. Thanks, Kaveh. Thanks, everyone. Honored to be a part of this committee. I actually joined ENSW to do my master's in energy systems. 2017 February, graduated 2019. got a scholarship in between. And my time in UNSW was great. Me and Samanch, actually, we started societies. We did a lot of, university faculty work and all. And it was so good to be a part of the society of the school. And then I joined as a product manager for a solar software tech company in Sydney. It is actually started by alumni from UNSW. So I've been working with them for the past 2 years. And that's it. I'm actually right now working from India. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right, that's great. So I guess the best way to start this before we go through some sort of a form of a Q&A to inform all of you, group of alumni and our cohort is maybe to start by Julien to let us know a little bit about himself for those of you who've never met or who've never had the pleasure of working with Julien. So Julien, would you be so kind to sort of introduce yourself, your background, and what you've been doing for school?
Sure. Thank you very much, Kaveh, and thank you to the Alumni Committee for running this great event. So my name is Julien Epps. I'm the head of School of Electrical Engineering and Telecommunications. I think I need to begin by saying I'm an alumnus, actually twice, 1997 and 2001, very proudly so. And I think the Alumni Committee has been one of the great things to emerge from the school in recent times. I think it began around 2011. And I was on the committee at the time when it first emerged. And I think the Alumni Committee has really done a lot of great things, bringing people back together, reminding us all of the great times we had as students in the school, but also being a meeting point for electrical engineers generally. And I think that's really an incredibly worthwhile thing. So it's been a fantastic thing, the committee.
Thank you, Julien. Certainly, we are so blessed and lucky with the support that we have from you and the school, and I'm sure we'll get to do a lot more great things under your leadership. Now, let's start. I mean, the theme everywhere right now is this new world that we live in and what has happened through the global pandemic. But before we actually get into that and maybe talk about what the school is doing and the challenges and how we're sort of helping our students, can you give us an update overall about the school, what has happened over the past maybe couple of years and some of the changes?
Absolutely. Thank you, Kaveh. There's really so much I could say, and I don't want to go on forever. So let me try to give just the most brief version of it. So I think an important update for many alumni is that the electrical engineering building that probably we all studied in has recently completed a $104 million refurbishment that completed just in February last year, 2019. And when you walk around it, it even still smells new, right? So it's don't get a fright though. When you walk onto the university campus, the exterior looks the same as before. So you will still recognize the building as before. But when you walk inside, I think it will be quite a big surprise. So still all the same sorts of labs and so on that you remember from your study days, but the interior is completely redesigned. And that brings with us some great opportunities as well. So, if in your industry you would benefit from having access to specialized resources, anechoic chambers, high voltage test facilities, things like that, we have all of those. They're all completely new. So it's a great opportunity perhaps to re-engage with the school, but also just good fun to walk around and have a look at what it looks like now. It's really fantastic, I have to say. I think it's also important to say that as well as the bachelor degrees in electrical engineering and in telecommunications that probably we're familiar with, we've actually just recently introduced our newest bachelor's program. That's the world's first Bachelor of Quantum Engineering. And that's just been released just a few months ago. And it captured quite some headlines around the world. We're very proud of that. It builds on a very strong base of research within the school. UNSW, I think, is often known for its quantum technology. So we're very excited that people will be able to start studying that essentially from year one. Over the past 10 years, I think it's also good to know that the student cohort has increased significantly. So over about 10 years, our number of students has approximately doubled. It's a little bit lower this year because of COVID, but we're much bigger than we were before and more diverse. So I'm pleased to say that the fraction of female students has been growing year on year. We haven't quite hit 30%, which was our target, but we're not too far away from that. And of course, it would be wonderful to grow that further. So if anyone has, any particular initiatives that they'd like to do in conjunction with us to improve that, we're very, very keen. I think something else that some of you may have heard about is that UNSW has moved to what's called a trimester, so 3 terms per year. And that began just last year in 2019. So right now, today, we're in the middle of our 3rd term. Not only that, of course, because of COVID, we're teaching both face-to-face and online. So you heard that right. Students can choose whether they come onto campus for their classes or whether they take them online. So I'm sure that would have been a dream for many of us to have that kind of flexibility back when we were studying. But now it's really much more of a necessity. We have students in all different countries all over the world. So we've been trying to rise to that challenge. The other thing I think is probably interesting to mention is the school has massively increased the amount of industry research that it does. So we have funded research projects with more than 50 different companies right now. We're working hard on about $17 million worth of research projects just in this year alone. So we've really had a lot more industry interaction, particularly in the last few years. And that's something we're really keen to continue. So it's been working incredibly well. I think there was already a mention of companies created by UNSW graduates, and we also have companies created by UNSW staff. So we've had 7 startup companies spin out of our school in recent years from staff alone, but other companies also from students. And I think UNSW is really starting to become a vibrant place for startup companies to spin out of. And I think it's exactly the kind of environment we really want. A couple of other things I have to brag a little bit as head of school. 30% of our academic staff have won university or faculty teaching awards in the past 10 years. So we really have an incredibly enthusiastic bunch of academic staff, which is great. And we're currently ranked number 1 in Australia and number 35 around the world in electrical engineering. So that's probably enough from me on that. But I'm certainly happy to take any questions.
That's wonderful. There are some quite achievements, especially for obvious reasons, I've pivoted to IBM. I'm especially impressed by the first Bachelor of Quantum that you mentioned, Julien. So great work there. Now, going deeper into what has happened around the world, obviously, it's common knowledge now how Australian higher education sector has suffered through COVID. So can you explain a little bit what were the effects directly on the school and what we're doing to sort of go around those challenges?
Yeah, thanks, Kaveh. It's a really interesting time to be, I guess in any industry and especially in universities. I think the first message really is that UNSW is still pursuing excellent education and research. So that part has not changed, and I don't see it ever changing. But a lot of other things have changed. So one of the most obvious things is the huge effort that's gone in the school and right across the university and other universities to moving teaching online. So a huge effort this year has been moving all of our courses online. Our school teaches about 80 courses per year at the moment. So that's a lot of courses to move online. All of them have had to be offered online, or as we have right now, in fact, online or face-to-face. So some courses are being taught in both modes. And some of our staff have really innovated like crazy to provide good lab experiences online, because we can all imagine the challenges trying to learn electronics and electric machines and things like that when you can't physically be in the lab. So some amazing things have happened. So students have done their systems and control labs with moving robotic arms over Microsoft Teams, for example. And they've done electronics labs, with web interfaces with their oscilloscopes and things like that. So our technical staff and academics have really gone to great lengths to try to produce the best lab experience from home, essentially. And that's gone pretty well, but it's still not the same as being in the lab, building the circuits yourself. Anyone who's read the news knows that tens of thousands of international students have been unable to come into Australia to be on campus this year. I think lots has been said about this, but I think I just want to say really that an international student cohort is part of the lifeblood of UNSW. I think UNSW has a big contribution to the region by educating engineers and the engineering leaders of the future. And I think we're really looking forward to having all of our students back on campus, both local and international. I think the other thing also is that no amount of online learning, as much as it sounds attractive, has made students want to stay away from campus. We had term 3 and we had students back on campus. I have never seen such happy students. They're just delighted to be back on campus and in the labs. They're very small lab groups, of course, to keep the distancing. And scheduled very differently, but they seem very happy, and we've had no problem with people wearing masks, hand sanitizing, and all these sorts of things. It's gone very, very well. But we do also have some students who cannot study on campus for whatever reason. They may be in another country and can't come here. And I think that might be a long-term future direction for the school and for the university, is to try to offer education to students who will never come onto campus. We have many students who do and come onto campus, but there are a lot of students who, for whatever reason, can't come onto campus. And I think this is something that we can do more of in the future, is to educate that group of students.
Well, that's wonderful. It's amazing to me. I have to admit, I didn't know the role that international student played with UNSW, and after having had the pleasure of meeting the group of 8185, and I realized as long as then they had 30% of their cohort from international as international students, I was very surprised. I understand that.
So those are very. I think it's if anyone's interested in that, it's great to Google the Colombo Plan, which was active, I think, in about the 70s or 80s. And that was a plan that was responsible for bringing a lot of international students into UNSW. And many of the graduates from that plan are leaders right around the Asian region. And sometimes they reconnect with us. Hopefully there may be a couple listening right now. It's always wonderful when they do. So I think it's great to continue that tradition.
Thank you. No, that's great. I'll definitely research Colombo Plan, guys. Maybe you can have a look and see the depth of international students in our great UNSW. Now, following on that theme, again, you can understand that industries have been affected by COVID as well, and some maybe has been affected by their career. But one of the great opportunities that this has created is maybe there could be, as Stephen Covey says, maybe sharpening their saws. In that sense, what can the school offer if, let's say, somebody needs to get some short courses and do some postgraduate work?
Absolutely, Kaveh there. Thanks for the question. Anyone who's interested, a great thing is to do a web search for Course Seeker, because at the moment you'll find many graduate certificates that have been heavily discounted. And a lot of those can be studied online at the moment as well. So they're probably even more flexible and convenient than they would normally be. If you are looking at doing some sort of graduate certificate, please contact us and get some academic advice about, what are the most relevant subjects to study. And we're happy to help you out there. I think that scheme may be finishing fairly soon, but obviously we have a raft of different kinds of programs. And we're more than happy to advise anyone who's looking to, diversify or extend their knowledge if we can help.
No, that's wonderful. We will try to edit this video later on, but if you could right now just say the email address for somebody that could contact the school, and through editing, I'm sure we can add that later on the video.
Of course. I mean, you're welcome to email me directly. My email is j.epps, that's EPPS, @unsw.edu.au. Anyone's welcome to contact me. I'd love to hear from you.
Wow. Wonderful. Thank you, Julien. The school is running in postgraduate. Has any of them not affected by COVID at the moment, that students can continue without any disruption?
Well, we've been offering all of our courses, undergraduate and postgraduate, online. So students can continue with their study wherever they are in their study.
Okay.
Now, that's not to say it's exactly the same experience as face-to-face. We've tried to preserve that as much as we possibly can, but essentially everything is running as normal except virtually.
Okay. And do you have any plans into introducing additional postgraduate courses in the near future?
Yes, look, we're always advancing our curriculum. So for anyone who wondered about Bachelor of Quantum Engineering, for example, it's not something we just ramped up this year. We've been actually teaching postgraduate quantum courses for about the past 12 years. So we're always innovating. We have new courses in a range of different areas. We've just introduced recently courses in information storage and cloud computing, for example. We've introduced courses in antennas and propagation. We're looking at new courses in the area, for example, of energy storage and integration with the grid, for example. It's obviously a very hot topic right now. And we have one of the largest research centers looking at energy integration and storage. So yeah, many advances, but yeah, please contact us if you're interested in postgraduate study, and we can help to advise you on what would make the most sense.
Wonderful. One other area that would be of maybe particular interest to create even more interest from the alumni committee would be around the employment. Does the school particularly has any systems, any means to help the alumni, regardless of when they graduated, in terms of helping them, guiding them in their employment and challenges even due to COVID?
Yeah, look, I think that's a great question. And I think there are a few different ways that the school and the university may be able to help. So one that you've touched on already is coursework degrees, for those looking to extend knowledge. We do also have research degrees. In fact, we have quite a lot of research scholarships currently available for those who are really interested in research and development careers. The other thing I really need to mention is that UNSW has a significant entrepreneurship unit. So for alumni who are thinking, okay, it's time for a new career, I want to create my own company, their entrepreneurship programs are available to alumni. And I believe they're free. So please, approach, I think the easy thing to do a web search for is UNSW Founders. And you can look for these accelerator programs that will help get startups going and connected with the venture capital industry and so on. So I think that's an exciting opportunity. The other thing, of course, is there is the Alumni Committee and the EE&T Alumni Connect events. And I think the benefit there really is just a chance to meet other alumni in the industry and connect with them and find out about opportunities that may be about. If you're, for those who are in a business and looking to innovate, I know a lot of businesses are trying to pivot what they're doing and looking to innovate into new spaces. If our school can help with the research that we do, please approach us, because we have many industry projects, and I think many have been very successful in helping our partners to do something new that they were not doing before. The other thing I should mention is that UNSW does occasionally have roles available. So even though you would have seen in the headlines, big job losses from UNSW, we're recruiting right now as well. And occasionally that does involve engineering roles. So senior technical officers, research assistants, and so on. So please, do keep an eye on jobs at UNSW. We will be advertising for jobs from time to time.
Oh, that's great news. Wonderful. Mm-hmm. And perhaps maybe one final topic to talk about. Given everything that has happened and given the technology, and some of the technologies have been enforced by COVID and virtualization, all of that, where do you see is the future, maybe say 10 years, 20 years, and 50 years of education and higher education, Julien? Are there any trends that you are aware of and witnessing?
Yeah, it's a really fascinating question. I think there are even several answers to that. So one thing is that COVID has desensitized a lot of us to the idea of learning online. And that's not to say that we all prefer it or that it's the best approach at all. I think, traditional undergraduate training is most likely to still happen face-to-face as a blend of face-to-face and online learning. But I think there are massive opportunities, particularly beyond, undergraduate careers. And I think many of our alumni will know this, that we're always trying to update our knowledge, and online learning is a huge opportunity. Whether it doesn't have to be a degree program. I think we're going to see universities, and UNSW in particular, offering more and more short courses. And that's not to say that the university is the expert on everything. I think a lot of these short courses are going to be done in partnership with industry. And so, I mean, if you're considering something like this and you would like to partner with UNSW to offer a short course, please approach us, because we have this in our sights. We know that we will be producing more short courses and looking to work a bit more dynamically in terms of providing, the updating knowledge that everyone needs at the various different points in their career. So I think online learning in a number of different forms is going to be an important part of our future. It's never going to replace face-to-face. I think it's only ever going to augment it. But there are a lot of things that can happen there. I do think that wearable devices have a role to play in our future. So if we look 10, 20 years in the future, I think we're going to be wearing our smartphones, and that's going to open up, again, a new kind of perspective on education and on partnering in all kinds of different ways that are a little bit harder to imagine now. But, essentially just imagine that you share whatever you're working on with someone in a remote location, and you probably start to get the picture there. I think another trend that is probably coming is also a degree of globalization of universities as well. We're already starting to see partnerships of universities across continents, and I think that's going to accelerate. In fact, the only thing really holding us back from a lot of those is time zones. If you have universities in Europe and Australia and US, I think many of us already know that problem. So, I think there are a number of different areas in which universities are going to change.
Wonderful. No, thank you very much. I really appreciate this opportunity and your time and being generous with your very busy schedule. I personally learned a great deal through all of these questions. I would like to thank all of you for participating in this, and especially you, Professor Epps. I really appreciate your guidance and leadership on our school and also on committee and helping us with growing. Again, a message from me to all of you, our community of great alumni around the world. We are looking to expand. We are active. Please get involved with us, especially if you're passionate to get involved and contribute to our alumni community. We would love to hear from you. We will add our email addresses and contact details at the end of this video for you all to have access to us. But it's been a great pleasure to host Professor Julien Epps, the head of our beloved school, today. And it's been a great honor to do this with my great colleagues, Robert, Samanch, and Gagan. I thank you very much for your time. We look forward to seeing you in the upcoming videos and more interviews. Thank you very much. Goodbye, all.